The World Cup 2026 is just around the corner, so I think it's reasonable that we start evaluating each group, starting with Group A. We'll start with one of the co-hosts, Mexico. Obviously, they didn't have to go through a qualifying stage because as co-hosts, they automatically got their spot. However, they look like a pretty strong team, winning the CONCACAF Gold Cup last year, actually, by beating the USA 2-1. And in recent friendlies, they have actually delivered some they've delivered some interesting results, such as a 1-1 draw to Belgium, 0-0 draw to Portugal, 4-0 win over Iceland. I understand, though, that these are just friendlies and we can just take them with a pinch of salt. But if it gives us a preview of how Mexico are going to play at the World Cup, I think they could do something. They look to play quite possession-based and perform aggressive wing play. And some key players that help them do this are Hirving Lozano, who obviously has played in Europe's top 5 leagues for the past few seasons, Santiago Jimenez, and Edson Alvarez of West Ham. But is all of this enough for them to top their group? I believe that they could be interchangeable with the Czech Republic. Yes, that's right, I am actually considering putting the Czech Republic over them, who they actually had to qualify for going for a playoff path. Obviously, firstly, they came second in Group L with 16 points, and then they were faced with Ireland, who performed very well near the end of their qualifying campaign, even beating Portugal. So most people thought, yeah, Czech Republic's kind of cooked, I can't lie, seeing as we were 2-0 down within minutes. But we found a way on penalties to qualify, and then against Denmark, I was quite worried, but 2-2 again, and a 3-1 win on penalties. Like, they're finally back now, should I say, after a 20-year wait. Obviously, there have been a few outlier games where they've played horribly, like losing to Faroe Islands 2-1, but we don't talk about that. And of course, we have some key players, such as Tomáš Souček, who plays for West Ham, obviously. Patrik Schick, who I believe has just recently hit 100 European goals, or maybe 100 goals in European football. Also recently, Ladislav Krejci, who plays for Wolves and is probably their best player, let's be honest. And more recently also Pavel Schulz, who is really exploding at Lyon and has contributed to the Czech Republic. But some of you are probably wondering, why have I not mentioned South Korea in this video? Obviously, they did finish among the top teams in AFC qualifying, progressing comfortably through the final round. While they do remain Asia's most consistent World Cup performers, something that was especially visible in their round of 16 finish in the 2022 World Cup. And with this experience, you would probably expect them to be able to get out of the group stage. You know, you have key players such as Heung-min Son, obviously plays at LA Galaxy now, but what a legacy he has at Tottenham and in Europe in general. But he's aging now. They do also have Kim Min-jae, who, yeah, solid defender, and also Hwang Hee-chan of Wolves, who obviously has that Premier League experience, so I think he could score a few goals against, lower level teams such as South Africa. And most people do actually see them as strong contenders to finish in the top 2 of the group stage. But I think they're lacking above that edge. Heung-min Son will perform. He is performing in the MLS currently, but I don't think he has it in him to carry them. And then finally, I'm predicting South Africa to finish bottom of the group. I mean, they advanced through CAF qualifiers, finishing top of their group with a strong defensive record, yes. Their automatic qualification wasn't very convincing, seeing as they only got 5 wins in the 10 games that they played. And Nigeria and Benin were both only 1 point behind them. And furthermore, at AFCON, quite recently, obviously in January, this was their opportunity to prove why they're actually at the World Cup and able to compete at the highest level. However, and they did actually start AFCON quite well, beating Angola 2-1. A 1-0 loss to Egypt on the 26th of December did really kind of bring them back to reality. But they did manage to scrape a win against Zimbabwe 3-2. And then obviously lost in the round of 16 to Cameroon, which getting Cameroon in the round of 16, yes, that's quite harsh. But if you're going to be competing at a World Cup, you need to be beating teams of that pedigree. So therefore, I just feel like they're lacking, the firepower to even get to the next round of the groups of the World Cup. And obviously, their last World Cup appearance came as hosts in 2010. Some of their key players being Lyle Foster of Burnley, but that's not really that impressive. And Percy Tau, who plays in the top division of Vietnamese football, where his team are actually 6th right now. I won't try to pronounce the name of their team, but you know that if your second most, I guess, established player is playing in the Vietnamese league, you don't really have a chance of getting past the group stage.